13 years old is the average age of entry into sex trafficking in the United States. 13 years old is the average age of entry into sex trafficking in the United States. 13 years olds are in grade school. They're 8th graders. So we have this national crisis that people don't want to talk about, but it's time to talk about it because we got to protect these children. You know, the adults in the room, people that love God, we as a Christian community, I always use the term, we have to take back territory.
Absolutely.
We've left the crazies and the criminals and the predators take too much territory. And they're preying on our children, our grandchildren, and we got to fight back. And there's solutions of how to do it.
Do you think anything is possible inside of Sin City, Las Vegas? I believe what God is doing is that he's bringing people together under the spirit of unity to display that anything and everything is possible through him. This is Las Vegas United.
Hey everyone, welcome to Las Vegas United. Today I am so excited to introduce you to a man that as soon as I heard him talk, his passion absolutely infiltrated the entire room. We have several topics that we're going to cover in these few minutes, so I need you to listen intently. Today I get to introduce you to Peter Palivos.
Thank you, Sharelle. Pleasure to be here, and thank you for everything you do for our community and for our country.
I feel like we could talk about 10 different topics. I want to zero in on a couple today so that they can hear what you're doing in this community. First and foremost, what is it with the veterans? What are you doing, and what's this big event you have coming up?
You know, I come from a veteran family. We have 5 generations of military service from our family on my mom's side, starting from 1917 when my grandfather's 2 older brothers were drafted in the U.S. Army in Ely, Nevada. So that was the first generation, and then we had 4 more generations that followed. The last 5th generation was my cousin, Navy Commander Demetrius Grimes, who was a war hero and flew planes off of carriers. And so we feel very strong to the veteran community because that's in our DNA. And I can tell you that no segment of our society or our country has done more for our country than the veteran community. These are men and women who have sacrificed so much. Many of them have paid the ultimate price to keep us safe. And you know, historically, you can never be a great power, a great nation, unless you have a strong military.
Yeah, that's true. That's kind of like your why, and you shared this beautiful story, had some amazing guests. What is it that you decided to do? It's a day of gratitude, correct?
Yes. So, great story. You know, I felt that we got to do some big events and big things for our veterans because, like I said, these men and women sacrifice so much for our nation. Even now, we have over 1 million in harm's way overseas. People don't know this, but this is a dangerous world. We have bases all over the world, and on a daily basis, our men and women are in difficult situations, in harm's way. And so about 2 years ago, I was at a Raiders game, love our Raiders, by the way. And I was there with a good friend of mine, Bob Maxwell, who's the CEO of Voice of the Veteran. I'm the chairman of Voice of the Veteran, and we have over 25,000 veteran members that we serve with. We do handle the disability claims for free. We give them guidance on any legal issues they have for free. We're just there for them. And I was talking to Bob about doing a big event for our veterans, you know, because what happens is, and we have over 300,000 veterans in the state of Nevada. And it's always great telling a veteran, thank you for your service, and they really appreciate that. But I think President Kennedy said it best many years ago, and President Kennedy was a war hero himself. He said, you know, saying thank you for your service is good, but it's got to be backed by deeds. So I told Maxwell at that time, I said, Bob, we got to do a big event. You know, I come from humble beginnings. My first job was shoe shining shoes in my father's store in 1131 West Lawrence Avenue in Chicago. So I come from humble beginnings. And I told Bob Maxwell, you know, I said, I want to do something big for our veterans because I'm very grateful to God that I've been very successful in this great nation called America, but I want to give back. And I feel that God's calling me to do something for our veterans in our city. So I said, Maxwell, why don't we do a big event here at Allegiant Stadium for 15,000 veterans and military families? And Bob Maxwell looked at me and said, you know, you have great ideas, but this is the most stupid idea you ever had. I said, well, why? He says, well, we got no money. The people don't donate money. You're basically funding Voice of the Veteran. And it'll cost millions to get this stadium. And then at halftime, I went downstairs with, you know, the VIP club. You've been there. And, you know, Maxwell's Irish, and he loves beer. So 3 beers later, Maxwell said, you know what, I think that's a great idea. Let's do it.
Yeah.
So we then started a dialogue with the Raiders, who have just been tremendous.
Yeah.
You know, I always say the Raiders did not win the football championship. They did not get the Super Bowl, but they are the champions and Super Bowl champs of philanthropy because they're very generous.
Yeah.
The president of the team, Sandra Morgan, is a local Nevadan, tremendous leader, great heart, a Christian. Mark Davis is a great human being.
Yeah.
He's a great owner and a great philanthropist. So we met with the Raiders, and they gave us the stadium valued over $2 million for free. They also provided food and drinks and security. And on June 8, 2024, with the help of our friends from CityServe, which is just a great organization, Christian-based out of Bakersfield, California. They were founded by Pastor Vincent and Pastor Dave Donaldson.
Yeah.
So Wendell Vincent and Dave Donaldson, we met, and they agreed to raise funds for it and bring gifts. And we started out with the goal of raising $500,000 in gifts, and we ended up raising $4 million.
Wow.
$4 million, including 5,000 pair of Nike shoes. So on June 8, 2024, with the help of the Raiders and the help of the CityServe and the help of all the military bases and all the generals and all the colonels, and they all were involved, by the way, fully engaged. We had 600 volunteers.
Yeah.
And with that day, we had a wonderful day. We had Walker Hayes perform for our military heroes and veterans. And that day was magical. It was held at Allegiant Stadium. We had 15,000 people. We gave away $4 million. And from the microphone, I said that because your father, mother, grandfather, brother, sister, mother served our great country, we have $4 million of gifts out there. Go get whatever you need. Yep. And it was a magical day.
It was powerful. I had, a military family that reached out to me that went, because I knew about it and I told them, and they said that was one of the best days of their life.
Yeah, that's a great point you raised, because a lot of times we don't do enough for the families. And one of the conditions for me doing this event, and it was the largest philanthropic event in the history of Nevada, was that we have to do something around families.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times, Sharelle, it's not just the father or the mother that serve, it's the whole family.
Absolutely.
Right? Remember, when you send somebody in harm's way.
That's their why.
That's right.
That's their why.
Right. We send somebody to serve in Iraq or Afghanistan, the family now has to support that person, and they serve as much as the person serving our country.
Wholeheartedly. I wholeheartedly agree. And I know that we could continue on this because I'm very passionate about this, and not just the Day of Gratitude, but I want so many solutions for our veterans, from, to your point, what you guys already have for the free legal advice, to housing, and I know we don't need to go into that, but to housing, to the next levels of really taking care of our veterans on every single level. And I love that we're moving towards that, and we're taking, and as you so incredibly do in almost every single thing that you touch, you take it one thing at a time, very diligently, and make sure that, okay, we're going to own this and then move to the next. So for anyone who's watching, before we move on to the next topic, how can they follow you? How can they get involved in your next Day of Gratitude?
Keep in contact with Voice of the Veteran. I just came from a meeting with the Raiders. We're talking now about doing Day of Gratitude number 2, June 6, 2026. So keep June 6, 2026 in your book. On that day, we're going to go bigger and better. We're going to try to do an event for 30,000 veterans and military family members. We're also going to appreciate and show gratitude to our first responders that day. So keep June 6, 2026. The significance of that day is D-Day, which is one of our biggest and most important holidays. It's D-Day, and then also we're going to celebrate the 250th anniversary of our great nation. So imagine this, right? Allegiant Stadium, the Raiders, military leaders from all over the country, 30,000 veteran and military families and first responders. And our goal is to raise $5 million in goods for these heroes. And with your prayers, we're going to hopefully do this. And like I said, do it bigger and better. And I know a lot of our political leaders are really excited about this.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, a four-star general, Drew Pappas, came in. He's head of the U.S. Army. A four-star is big time. It's Eisenhower rank. And he had come into our city about a month ago.
Yeah.
We went to a hockey game. He's a good friend. And I talked to Drew, and I said, here's what we're doing. And he said, that's magical.
Yeah.
Unless the president orders me to go to D-Day and Normandy
Right.
and deliver a speech, because that's what he did last year.
Yeah.
He said, I will be there.
Wow.
I will be there, and I will bring with me other generals from Washington, because he said, Peter, what you're doing here in Las Vegas is national and has never been done before.
Right.
And what the general said is there's other cities now that are focusing on us, on taking our example and doing it in their stadiums as well. So keep open June 6, 2026, and pray.
Right. And to that point, if you have the ability to dive in and kind of see what they're doing here and mimic that in your stadium, in your state, for your veterans, by all means, can you imagine? Can you imagine if we were doing this in all 50 states? Yeah,
I want you to give a big shout out to the Raiders. You know, you go to a lot of these cities, and they do honor veterans and military families. They do 5 at halftime or 10 of them. We're talking about 30,000.
Yeah, that's the goal.
So you talk about the Raiders being generous and being a great partner. And then I also want to give a shout out to CityServe.
Yeah.
You folks should check out CityServe. They're a great organization. They do great philanthropy all over our country.
Right.
That would be a great organization to donate. I work pro bono. I work for $1 a year because my heart is just in the right place.
Yeah.
And like I said, I come from very humble beginnings, and I want to give back.
Yeah. So I want to shift gears completely because we have another really important topic to address. And it's something a lot of people don't know a lot about, but a lot of people are silently experiencing in one way or another. So when you and I started having the conversation, obviously, you knew a bit about my story, about my sister, and about our journey, our family's journey through the pain and the 5 years of her going missing. And then, just recently having some sort of conclusion to that journey. But now you are taking on human trafficking.
Yes.
Which is massive, and we're starting to hear a little bit more about it, but I want to talk about Nevada. What's going on in Nevada? You have some crazy statistics you shared with me, and so I would love for you to just dive in to, number one, why are you taking on human trafficking, and why is it such a big deal?
Look, as a Christian and as an attorney of over 40 years that's handled some of the biggest cases in the country, I think we have to step up to the challenge. And our country's in trouble right now. Beyond being divided, we have moral decadence. There's some staggering statistics involving sex trafficking and the abuse of children. And I want to throw out some statistics just to show you how bad the situation is. And for many years, people have been, it's like the crazy ant in the basement. We've kind of don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
But now it's time to talk about it and confront it, because as Christians, Jesus told us that we have a moral and ethical obligation to protect children and to get justice for children. And when I realized how serious this problem is, I got on the phone, because as you know, I take action, and I talked to some of my colleagues who have incredible lawyers all over the country, and I said, look, we have to form an alliance here and go after these monsters who are preying on children.
Yeah.
Children.
Yeah.
And I told them these statistics, and they almost fell off the chairs.
Yeah.
They said, Peter, but for us knowing you for 20 years, if somebody else had told us these statistics, we would have thought it's fake news.
Right.
It's not fake news, it's real. Just to give your audience some statistics, 10% of all minors in the United States will be the victims of sexual abuse before their 18th birthday. Now let me give you what the number is. We have 77 million children in our country, ages 1 through 18. 10% of that is 7.7 million. 7.7 million children will be abused. Let me give you another statistic. 16% of runaway children end up being sex trafficked.
Say that again. Say the number.
16%. Let me give you a final number. 13 years old is the average age of entry into sex trafficking in the United States. 13 years old is the average age of entry into sex trafficking in the United States. 13 years olds are in grade school. They're 8th graders. So we have this national crisis that people don't want to talk about, but it's time to talk about it because we got to protect these children. You know, the adults in the room, people that love God, we as a Christian community, I always use the term, we have to take back territory.
Absolutely.
Right. We've let the crazies and the criminals and the predators take too much territory.
Yeah.
And they're preying on our children, our grandchildren, and we got to fight back. And there's solutions of how to do it.
Yeah. And, you know, man, like this, I get chills because it's time. It absolutely is time. And I've always said, you know, as an adult, there's like so much, and we have free reign and we live in America and it's absolutely beautiful, but it's our job to protect kids.
Yes.
And if 13 is the average age, we're still going with younger kids, that means, that are getting into, you know, sex trade. And we also have the abuse that ties into that, which is a door, a gateway, which a lot of times happens for the human trafficking. So with that, something that we also had a conversation about, because of your background, we need to be pursuing legal action against the ones that are teachers, against the facilities that are actually hosting or allowing, turning their blind eye to the ones doing the trafficking within their hotel space or whatever that is. So what is it that you're doing? How are you saying, I'm going to take action against these predators?
Yeah, the great question. The crisis here in Nevada is worse than most of the states. We are the worst state in the union on sex trafficking, the second worst. And we have a systemic problem in schools, in churches, in the employment environment where it's okay to prey on children.
Yeah.
I got news for these predators. We're coming after you. It's not okay. Keep your hands off these kids because we will sue you, we will bankrupt you, we will indict you. We will talk to our officials and bring an immense pressure on you to stop doing this. And one of the worst problems, and by the way, I'm a supporter of the schools and teachers. 99% do a great job and they help our children. But we have a serious problem in Clark County here where there's hundreds of teachers molesting children. This is unacceptable. We have to expose these people and go after them. So any person out there who had their son, daughter, grandchild molested or abused by a school teacher, a school driver, a school custodian, please call us. My daughter, attorney Anatasia Palivos, is a national leader involved in these cases. Her number is 702-903-0800. Again, 702-903-0800. Anastasia is a great supporter of this mission. She will provide free counseling and free consultation to help you get some action. We really have to find solutions, and the solution is, one, raise awareness, and I'm grateful because that's what you're doing today. And then two is take action. We need to help these children, restore them, convince them it's not their fault.
Yeah.
I mean, they're children.
Yeah.
They're 13 years old. They're 14 years old. We have a case in Chicago where a 14-year-old girl in high school, freshman in high school, was groomed and raped by her teacher for 4 years. And it took that young lady many years to overcome those dark shadows.
Yeah.
So we helped restore her, and then we went after the teacher that did this. And it's, you know, in every profession, there's always 99% good and there's 1% bad.
Yeah.
And we as a society, we as Christians, have to go after the 1% bad.
Yeah.
So if anybody out there was a victim of sex trafficking or sex abuse as a minor, call us. We'd love to help you. We'll give you guidance. We'll give you direction. And for the parents and grandparents listening out there, put your arms around these children, show them immense love.
Yes.
It's not their fault. How can a child be at fault when they're 12, 14, 16 years old and they're groomed by their teacher or the school driver and abused?
Yeah.
It's not their fault. Show them love, show them direction, and then call us at 702-903-0800. We will help you.
Yeah.
There's a free consultation. We will give you direction. And if you're not in Nevada, we have a national network, and Sharelle and I are working on a national board to address this concern. And I really thank you, Sharelle, for your time on that important board. At the national level, we really want to go into Washington, D.C., and get some strong executive orders from the president.
Yes.
And we are, by the way, talking to the White House about this. We want to pass some tough federal legislation because we have to protect these children.
Yeah.
And let me say this. I told you I was born very poor, but even as poor as I was in Chicago when I was a little boy, the streets were safe.
Yeah.
We could go play in front of our house.
Yeah.
We weren't exposed to this internet garbage where people could prey on us.
Yeah.
So, in a way, we had some safety.
Yeah.
Today, tragically, and I really mean that tragically, these children don't have safety.
Yeah.
They don't have safety in their schools, in the churches, in the employment environment, because it's that 1% bad actors who are preying on these children.
Yeah.
And the way they do it is they always start out that I'm here to be your mentor and to support you, and I like you. And then before you know it, they're raping these children. It's horrific.
Beyond horrific. And you've said so many different things there. One thing I want to reiterate is I've had the pleasure of being able to get to know Anatasia, on our national human trafficking board. And so something that I believe is important is someone needs to know they can trust the person on the other side of the phone. And, I've heard her with, your grandson, and your face just like lights up. And she's a mom. Mm-hmm. And she's on there selflessly giving of her time to be able to fight this on a grander scale. So if you guys have the courage to reach out to Anatasia, I'm going to tell you, you're not going to regret it. She's a wonderful person. She's a mom. She's a family member. And she is fighting not just Nevada, not just local, not just Clark County, but she's looking to be proactive and with the executive orders to shut this down on so many different levels at the White House, which makes me so proud. So if you guys do and can and have the courage, reach out to her. But there's also something else that is a very big and important number is let's talk about statutes. So in Nevada, what is the statute? So when is it too early, too late to make the call?
So for many years in Nevada, you had a 18-year, up to 18 years old. In other words, you had 2 years from the date you reach 18 years old to take legal action.
Okay.
We were able, the plaintiff's bar was able to extend that. So now, if you were abused as a child, you have up to age 36. You have many more years to take action on the civil side, which is to file a lawsuit for damages, for psychological injuries, etc. Excuse me. On the criminal side, if you were a minor and sexually abused as a minor, there is no statute of limitation. As long as you reported it and you have some documentation, you can prosecute the wrongdoers.
Yeah.
Now, this is really great news because a lot of people we have found, and I've helped over 100 sex trafficked victims. Mm-hmm. A lot of these individuals who are wrong, they go into depression. They go into a dark area. And it takes years for them to come out of it and say, you know what, I'm going to take action.
Yeah.
The young lady I told you about in Chicago, she didn't take action until she was about 25, 26 years old, because she went into a dark place for many years. She thought she was blaming herself. Yeah. She thought maybe she should have done things differently. For God's sake, she was a child. Yeah. She was 14 years old, and she was raped by her teacher, who groomed her and raped her for 4 years, by the way. It was that bad. So if anybody out there is a victim as a minor, whether it happened here in Nevada or any state in the union, please call us, because there's an extended time period now to take action.
Beautiful.
And I urge all people to take action because, look, we're not going to address this problem until we start prosecuting these monsters.
We have to have the conversations, and we have to stop them on multiple levels. And one thing, when you were talking about giving them love, even after and surrounding them, I also want to speak to, let's remember to stop, take time and love on our family now. Because a lot of times they talk about it is opportunities, and it's not all of it, because some families, you've loved the kid and it still happens. But sometimes it's because they're missing it in their own family life, and we just get busy. It's not intentional. We just get so busy with our own lives, we forget to stop. Love on our kids, love on our grandkids, love on our siblings. So they're just so full that when the counterfeit comes along, you identify it, and they can't touch your kids, they can't touch your family. So I just want to, reiterate that. And, we have about 2 minutes left, so I want to give you the opportunity to share with the viewers, is there anything else that you want them to know, to hear? It could be about the veterans event, it could be about human trafficking, it could anything that you want to share right now with Las Vegas United. What would you like to share with them?
I'd like to double down on what you said. Love is very important. We need to love our children, our grandchildren, and have a conversation with them. Know what they're doing. This is a dangerous world. It's a crazy world. It's an amoral world. You need to have a conversation with your children and grandchildren so you know what they're doing. And if something went wrong in their life, you need to support them with a lot of love, put your arm around, explain it wasn't their fault, and take action. If you see something, say something. Take action. We have a moral and ethical obligation to help these children.
Yeah.
If we can help one child, we will have done great.
Yeah.
But I think we can save hundreds of children.
Yeah.
Hundreds of children. There is a national crisis. This crisis is especially expounded here in Nevada because, as I said, we're the second worst state in the country for sex trafficking and abuse of children. We have to stop this. We have to stop this. We have to protect these children, and we do that by getting involved and by creating justice for them.
Yeah.
The Bible teaches us about justice, how important justice is for everyone, and Jesus talked about justice. What greater thing is there than protecting a child and giving justice to a child?
Yeah, it's our duty to respect them, and there's so many verses that actually talk about what would happen, once when you're harming a little one, and it'd be better to go to the bottom of the ocean, with a stone around your neck, so that they can get in touch with you, they can follow your journey. First off, for the veterans, if you can, let them know where it is that they can follow your journey and get involved with your initiative on the veterans.
Yeah, for the veteran event that we're planning for June 6, 2026, you can contact Voice of the Veteran, and we have a website, and we'd love to engage with you. For anybody that was a victim of sex trafficking, or if they have any questions, please call Attorney Anatasia Palivos at 702-903-0800. Anastasia is a national leader in this area. She has a great heart. She's a Christian, and most important of all, she gave me 2 great grandchildren.
Give you beautiful grandchildren. I saw your face light up on that call. I was like, I don't know that I've ever seen that look. Well, you guys, thank you so much for joining us. This was an absolute privilege. I know some of this was really heavy, but I would challenge you to digest it and not just hear it and have your heart break, but to get involved. Find out how you can get involved, whether here, locally, nationally, online, or you can donate. Because like you said, they have a very beautiful also event coming up where you can donate and be a part of that $5 million for the veterans and the veterans' families, which I think is one of the most noble things to do. So thank you so much for joining us on CTN here at Las Vegas United.
Today's show was guest hosted by Sharelle Mendenhall. To connect with Sharelle online, visit her on social media at Sharelle Mendenhall. The guest this week is Peter Palivos from Voice of the Veteran. For more information, please visit voiceofthevet.us. Thanks for watching our broadcast. Las Vegas United is produced by CTN Vegas. For more information about CTN Vegas and our show, please visit ctnvegas.com.